Chosen one. Pause for a moment and breathe. Heaven is leaning toward you. The atmosphere around you has shifted, even if you haven't fully noticed it yet. Something is stirring inside you, an awakening, a trembling, a recognition that this moment is not ordinary. You feel it pressing on your spirit, that sense that destiny is brushing against your life, and you are right. You are standing at the edge of your final battle, the one that will determine the direction of everything that comes next. You have come too far to turn back now. You have survived too much to crumble here. You have walked through storms that would have drowned weaker souls. You have carried burdens that should have broken you. You have endured pain that no one else even knows about, those silent nights where your tears hit the pillow and you asked God if He still remembered you. But beloved chosen one, He did. He always did. That is why this message is reaching you now, because heaven knows you are steps away from the breakthrough you prayed for. And this moment, this message, this stirring inside your chest is the sign. You are closer than you think. The pressure has been rising, not because you are losing, but because you are crossing into your final spiritual confrontation before divine release. The closer you get to the promise, the louder the opposition becomes. The enemy has been trying to overwhelm you, distract you, confuse you, or push you towards surrender, not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous. You are a threat. You carry power that hell cannot predict and cannot stop. You are not fighting because you did something wrong. You are fighting because you are becoming who you were always meant to be. Chosen one. Hear me, this battle is not an ending, it is a beginning. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 27, verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? These ancient words were not written to decorate pages, they were written for moments like this. Moments when darkness presses close, when fear whispers, when weariness makes you question your strength. They speak directly to you. Now you fear no one, because the God who chose you stands with you. You collapse before no enemy, because the Lord Himself strengthens your life. Let these words settle in your spirit. They are a shield around you, and yet, despite this truth, you felt the weight. You felt the fatigue. You felt the spiritual suffocation of a long, draining season. You've wondered why it feels like you keep getting hit from every angle. Why the warfare refuses to stop. Why every time you rise, something comes to push you back down. But I need you to hear this with your whole heart. The resistance is proof of what is coming. The pressure is confirmation that you are close. The heaviness is a sign that the realm around you is shifting. This is not the time to give up. This is not the moment to retreat. This is the hour you rise. Chosen one, you were not created to collapse. You were created to conquer. Everything you've lived through, every heartbreak, every setback, every betrayal, every lonely night was molding you into someone unstoppable. This final battle is not happening to you, it is happening for you. You are being sharpened. You are being purified. You are being readied for a destiny that requires spiritual strength, clarity, and authority. Heaven is preparing you to soar. But before you rise, you must push through this last confrontation. And listen carefully. This message is not random. It is not coincidence. It is not an algorithmic accident. This is divine intervention. When heaven calls, you feel it. When heaven warns, you tremble. When heaven speaks, your spirit vibrates. That sensation inside your chest right now is no ordinary feeling, it is confirmation. So do not scroll away. Do not disconnect. Do not silence this moment. Chosen one, if your spirit is resonating with this message, if you feel something waking up within you, If you know in your soul that this is your word, then take one simple step of obedience like share, comment, and subscribe so you remain connected to every message heaven intends for you. And now, at the end of this first section, seal this moment spiritually. As a prophetic declaration, comment the number 777. You move forward from the threshold into the quiet, unsettling space where your wounds begin to speak, not to shame you, not to haunt you, but to reveal what you were never able to see before. Chosen one, every scar you carry has a story, but more importantly, every scar carries wisdom. You've spent years trying to outrun the things that broke you, but now you begin to understand those wounds were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to warn you. You think back to the seasons where betrayal cut deeper than you could explain. The times when the people you trusted the most became the source of your greatest pain. The moments when you gave love freely, only to have it mishandled, taken for granted, or thrown aside. At the time, it felt cruel, it felt personal, it felt like punishment. But now, standing in the clarity of this new moment, you begin to see what you missed back then. Those wounds were teachers. Beloved chosen one, you learned discernment through disappointment. You learned strength through suffering. You learned wisdom through heartbreak. And though you never asked for the lessons, God used them to shape a warrior out of your softness. There were doors you wanted so badly to walk through, doors that slammed shut in your face. Looking back, you realized they were never meant for you. The rejection you cried over was actually protection. The delay that frustrated you was divine timing. The loss that shattered you saved you from chains you never knew were being placed around your spirit. Heaven watched the moments you couldn't see the truth for yourself, and your wounds became warning lights. They showed you when something wasn't right. They revealed people whose intentions did not match their words. They exposed the environments where your soul was shrinking instead of growing. And now, as you step deeper into your calling, those same wounds are guiding you with a clarity you did not possess before. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah in the sacred writings of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 17. For I will restore your health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord. These words wrap themselves around your spirit now, not as a distant promise, but as a present reality. You feel the restoration happening inside you. You feel a quiet mending, a gentle stitching of places you once thought would remain permanently broken. Not only are you being healed, but your healing is awakening your discernment. Your wounds did not make you bitter, they made you accurate. Your heartbreak did not make you cold, it made you wise. Your pain did not make you unlovable, it made you powerful. Chosen one, you see differently now. Where you once trusted blindly, you now trust with clarity. Where you once gave endlessly, you now give intentionally. Where you once tolerated disrespect, you now protect your peace like a sacred flame. And this shift is not arrogance, it is spiritual maturity. You are no longer the version of yourself who allowed others to misuse your kindness. You are no longer the soul who let everyone have access to your energy. You are no longer the person who confused loyalty with self-abandonment. Your wounds taught you boundaries. Your wounds taught you self-respect. Your wounds taught you how to hear the whispers of God in the middle of chaos. But most importantly, your wounds taught you who you are. You are not fragile. You are not naive. You are not easily broken anymore. You have grown into someone who can feel danger before it reaches you. Someone who senses deception before it enters the room. Someone who recognizes spiritual attacks before they manifest. Someone who does not panic at the sight of darkness because you've already survived darker nights than this. And now, As you stand in the quiet of this moment, you begin to understand the deeper truth. The warnings were not meant to frighten you, they were meant to prepare you. The patterns you've lived through were shaping your discernment for the battle you are now fighting. The enemy can no longer approach you through the same open doors. You've sealed them. You've learned. You've risen. Your past pain turned into prophetic insight. Your past wounds turned into weapons. Your past heartbreak turned into holy vision. Chosen one, you are not the same. And because you are not the same, your future will not be the same. Your last battle may be fierce, but you are entering it wiser, sharper, clearer, and more spiritually equipped than ever before. Your wounds have become your warning system, and because of that, you will not be blindsided again. You move deeper into the quiet places of your spirit, where the noise of the world fades and only one sound remains: the whisper. It is faint at first, almost too soft to catch, but you feel it before you hear it. A pull, a tightening in your chest, a stirring in your soul that doesn't come from your own thoughts. It is the whisper that finds you in the darkness, the whisper that arrives when you are standing at the edge of surrender. Chosen one, this is the whisper that has saved you more times than you can count. The whisper that told you to get back up when life tried to bury you. The whisper that told you to keep going when you had every reason to quit. The whisper that told you to walk away from what was killing you. The whisper that guided you toward what was written for you. You've heard it in your loneliest moments. You've heard it in your most painful nights. You've heard it when you felt abandoned, exhausted, and undone. It is the voice that does not shout, because your spirit recognizes it without volume. It is the voice that does not intimidate, because your soul responds to it with trust. It is the voice that does not argue, because truth does not need to repeat itself. But lately, the whisper has become stronger, clearer, louder in the silence, not loud in sound, but loud in impact. You feel it in your bones now. You feel it in your heartbeat. You feel it in the subtle way your soul refuses to collapse even when your mind feels tired. The enemy wants you to call this whisper imagination, but heaven wants you to recognize it as guidance. This is the whisper that appears when you are one step from giving up. You know the moment well. That split second where your strength feels gone. That moment where frustration rises. That breath where you say, I can't do this anymore. It is in that precise moment that the whisper comes to pull you back from the edge. Chosen one, you are hearing that whisper now. The ancient words recorded in 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 12. And after the fire came a gentle whisper, and the Lord was in the whisper. These words illuminate your spirit in this moment. They remind you that God does not always arrive in thunder, earthquakes, or fire. Sometimes he comes as a quiet voice in the stillness, yet that whisper carries enough power to shift the entire direction of your life. And this whisper, this message, this moment is one of those divine interruptions. This is the whisper that tells you, do not give up now. This is the whisper that reminds you, your story is not over. This is the whisper that warns you darkness wants your surrender, not your victory. This is the whisper that reveals you are too close to stop. The enemy knows that if he can silence your spirit, he can distract your destiny. If he can overwhelm your mind, he can weaken your fight. If he can cloud your heart, he can confuse your direction. That is why the whisper matters. It cuts through the confusion. It clears what fear tries to distort. It reconnects you to the truth you are not fighting alone. You feel the whisper calling you back to yourself, back to your identity, back to your purpose, back to the version of you that refuses to quit. Chosen one, when God whispers, The soul listens, not because you are forced to, but because something inside you knows. This voice leads to life. In this moment, you stand in the tension between giving up and rising again, and heaven leans close to see which direction you will choose. The whisper is not here to pressure you, it is here to guide you, to remind you that even in darkness, God does not leave you without direction. So now, chosen one, take a breath. Slow down, feel the guidance settling into your spirit again. Because you are not lost, you are being led. You are not abandoned, you are being called. You are not defeated, you are being awakened. And now, as a sign that you hear the whisper clearly, as a sign that you choose your calling over your exhaustion, as a sign that you choose light over surrender, comment, "I choose light," because when you declare this, you align your spirit with heaven's whisper. You tell the darkness it has no final say. You tell your destiny you are still coming for it. You step forward from the whisper into a realm where shadows gather, not to consume you, but to test the light you carry. This is where the atmosphere thickens, where the unseen tension rises, where your spirit becomes intensely aware of what your natural eyes cannot see. You feel the shift around you, the kind that makes you stand a little straighter, breathe a little deeper, and brace for something your soul has been sensing for a long time. Chosen one, you have always carried light, even when you didn't know it, even when you felt broken, even when life dimmed your strength, even when people mistook your kindness for weakness. Your light was never fragile, it was fierce. Your spirit was never small, it was sacred. Your existence was never ordinary, it was disruptive. That's why darkness noticed you long before you noticed yourself. It recognized the mark you carry. It recognized the purity in your intentions. It recognized the calling in your soul. It recognized that when you walk into a room, you carry something that shifts the atmosphere. Even if you stay silent, you bring clarity, you bring truth, you bring conviction, you bring illumination. This is why certain people reacted to you the way they did. It wasn't because you were wrong. It was because your light exposed what they tried to hide. It wasn't because you were weak. It was because your spirit revealed their emptiness. It wasn't because you were flawed, it was because your presence disturbed the shadows they were comfortable living in. Some people didn't dislike you, they feared what you awakened inside them. Some situations didn't break you, they revealed who didn't belong. Some losses didn't happen to hurt you, they happened to protect your light. Chosen one. You have been walking through life thinking your softness was a liability. But in truth, your softness has always been your secret weapon. Soft hearts carry sharp discernment. Gentle spirits carry quiet authority. And those who are underestimated by people are often the ones empowered by heaven. But now, as your light strengthens, the shadows around you respond, not because they can overpower you, but because they can no longer ignore you. Darkness does not challenge those who pose no threat. It challenges those who carry the potential to break generational cycles, dismantle spiritual attacks, and shift the path of their entire lineage. You stand here now not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. Stronger, brighter, more aware, more aligned. It is written in the ancient text of John, chapter 1, verse 5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. These words were not meant to comfort you from afar, they were meant to ignite something within you. They declare a truth that applies directly to your spirit. Your light is not fragile, and darkness cannot overpower it. It can intimidate, surround, and resist, but it cannot win. And though shadows gather around you, they do so only because they know they are losing ground. The darkness fights hardest where the light is rising most. This is why the attacks felt heavier. This is why your dreams felt distant. This is why your sleep was disturbed. This is why your emotions felt unpredictable. This is why your spirit felt stretched. It wasn't weakness, it was warfare. It wasn't confusion, it was transition, and it wasn't abandonment, it was elevation. Your soul is adjusting to a higher level of spiritual clarity. And with that clarity comes responsibility. You can no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You can no longer dim your light to fit environments God is calling you out of. You can no longer pretend you don't feel what you feel or see what you see. Your awareness is not a burden, it is a gift. Chosen one, the shadows you face now are not enemies, they are indicators. Indicators that you are walking correctly. Indicators that you are breaking patterns. Indicators that the enemy is threatened. Indicators that your next level is near. And as you keep walking, you notice something powerful. The shadows retreat not because they disappear, but because your light expands. The atmosphere shifts not because darkness weakens, but because your spirit strengthens. The path clears not because obstacles vanish, but because you rise above them. You carry light that was forged in suffering. You carry insight shaped by loneliness. You carry strength born in silence. You carry authority developed in pain. This is why you cannot fear the shadows. This is why you cannot retreat. This is why you cannot shrink again. You were made to walk into darkness, not to be consumed by it, but to transform it. Your presence is a declaration. Your resilience is a weapon. Your light is a command. Chosen one, step boldly. Your shadows are not here to stop you. They're here to prove that you were always meant to shine. You step from the shadows into a space where the air feels different, lighter, warmer, almost as if heaven itself is leaning closer. Chosen one. This is the moment where the unseen realm begins to shift in your favor. You've been fighting, enduring, and pressing through storms that felt endless. But now something sacred draws near. You can sense it not with your eyes, but with your spirit. It's that same feeling you get when dawn is moments away, but the sky is still dark. A knowing, a stirring, a soft hum of divine presence. This is when heaven leans in. You may not see angels moving around you, but you feel the atmosphere tightening with purpose. You may not hear God speaking audibly, but you sense guidance like a magnetic pull on your heart. You may not witness miracles with your physical eyes, but you sense something aligning, like the gears of destiny beginning to turn again. Beloved chosen one, heaven has never been far from you. Even in your silence, heaven was speaking. Even in your stillness, heaven was orchestrating. Even in your fear, heaven was covering you. But now right here, right now the veil thins. The unseen begins to touch the seen. You are not walking alone, and you never were. But now, you begin to feel the help that has always been promised to you. According to what is revealed in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 8, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. These ancient words rise like fire in your spirit. They remind you that heaven does not merely observe your battle. Heaven participates in it. God goes before you, clearing paths you didn't know were blocked and fighting battles you didn't even know existed. Sometimes that divine presence feels like peace in the middle of chaos. Other times it feels like a sudden clarity after days of confusion. And sometimes it feels like unexpected provision showing up just when you were about to give up. Heaven moves in whispers, nudges, synchronicities, and divine alignments that seem almost too perfectly timed to be coincidence. Chosen one. Think of your life like a ship crossing a vast ocean. There were nights when the waves rose high and violent, when the sky turned black, when your boat cracked under pressure. It felt like you were sinking. But heaven was the lighthouse on the shore even when you couldn't see it. The light was still shining. It guided you when you drifted off course. It pulled you back when currents tried to carry you away. Sometimes, heaven becomes the wind pushing your sails. Sometimes, heaven becomes the anchor keeping you steady on sun. And sometimes, like now, heaven becomes the hand that lifts you from the water and sets you back on deck. Your life has not been random. Every moment, every tear, every delay, every rejection, every breakthrough, none of it was wasted. Heaven has been aligning each piece, like a master artisan shaping a mosaic from broken fragments. But chosen one, understand this. When heaven leans in, heaven also invites you to respond, not out of pressure, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. Just as a seed responds to sunlight, just as a river responds to gravity, just as dawn responds to the call of morning, your spirit responds when heaven draws near. And so, in this sacred moment, if this message resonates in your soul, if you feel the warmth of heaven brushing your spirit, if something inside you whispers, "This is speaking to me," then I invite you gently, sincerely, and with the purest intention to support this mission. Not because you are required, not because you are pressured, but because your support becomes part of the light that helps guide others out of darkness. If these messages bring you clarity, strength, or healing, if they lift you in moments when life feels heavy, if they remind you that you are chosen, loved, and guided, then consider like a candle lighting another candle, helping this message reach further. Through your like, you help spread the light. Through your share, you lift someone who may be drowning quietly. Through your subscribe, you stay connected to the flow of guidance meant for you. And through your donation, if your heart feels led, you become part of the hands heaven uses to build, uplift, and expand this work. Every gesture, no matter how small, is a ripple that touches lives far beyond your own. And heaven blesses every act done from a place of love. Chosen one, heaven has leaned in. Now you take your step forward. You step into the territory where every battle you faced finally reveals its true purpose. The battle for your identity. Chosen one. This has never been about your circumstances, your past, your failures, or your limitations. Every storm that rose against you, every betrayal, every delay, every attack, all of it pointed back to one thing: who you are becoming. Identity is the battlefield hell fears most. Because when a chosen one doesn't know who they are, they can be manipulated, distracted, derailed. But when a chosen one awakens to their identity, everything changes. Your presence becomes louder than your words. Your spirit becomes stronger than your history. Your purpose becomes clearer than your pain. And that is exactly what has been happening inside you. For years, darkness has been trying to convince you that you are smaller than your calling. It tried to use your past mistakes to redefine you. It used people's rejection to shrink you. It used loneliness to distort your worth. It used weariness to blur your purpose. All these battles weren't coincidences, they were strategies. Because the enemy knew something you didn't know. If you ever discovered who you truly are, you would become unstoppable. But now, the veil is lifting. Your eyes are opening. Your spirit is remembering. You are stepping into the truth of who God always knew you to be. As the apostle reminds us in the sacred writings of 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 9, you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. These words are not poetic, they are prophetic. They announce your identity with divine authority. You are not random. You are not common. You are not overlooked. You are a marked soul, carved from the eternal, carrying a purpose that predates every battle you've ever faced. This is why you've never fit in. This is why you've always felt different. This is why your spirit never allowed you to settle. This is why even in your darkest moments, something inside you refused to die. Your identity kept pulling you forward, even when your strength didn't. Your calling kept whispering, even when everything else went silent. Your destiny kept reaching for you, even when you tried to walk away. And now, in this moment, you recognize the pattern. The attacks increased when your identity matured. The warfare intensified when your awareness sharpened. The pressure grew when your spirit rose. Chosen one, the battle was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. Every lie spoken against you, every betrayal you endured, every disappointment that cut deep, every season where God seemed silent, every door that closed unexpectedly, all of it worked together to peel away false identities that life tried to place on you. You are not the abandoned one. You are not the forgotten one. You are not the unworthy one. You are not the almost or the not enough. You are the chosen one. And now that you are awakening to this truth, everything around you begins to shift. You start standing differently. You start speaking differently. You start thinking differently on them. You start discerning differently on them. People can sense it even before you say a word. Your energy is different. Your presence is different. Your spiritual scent is different, because identity carries weight. True identity carries authority, and authority attracts both heaven's favor and hell's resistance. This is why you must guard who you are becoming. This is why you must protect your mind, your spirit, your time, your peace. Because your identity is not just a title, it is a weapon. Hell fears you not because of what you've done, but because of who you are destined to be. So, chosen one, stand tall. Stand in the truth of who you are. Stand in the calling that cannot be stolen. Stand in the purpose that cannot be erased. You are stepping into a new realm of identity, one that will shape the rest of your journey. And now, to anchor this revelation within your spirit, declare it boldly as an act of alignment. Comment 4404. Not because the number is magical, but because your declaration is powerful. 444 represents stability, foundation, and confirmation, exactly what your identity is being rebuilt upon in this very moment. You move deeper into the unfolding of your journey, into the quiet truth that strength is not always born in victory. Sometimes it is born in the hidden places where no one sees you, hears you, or applauds you. Chosen one, much of what makes you powerful today was forged in silence, in solitude, and in seasons where you felt forgotten. But heaven was working in those hidden places long before the world ever saw your growth. You often wondered why your life felt like it moved through long stretches of invisibility. Times when people overlooked you, dismissed you, or passed you by. Times when your efforts seemed unseen. Times when your prayers felt unanswered. Times when you poured into others but no one poured back into you. And yet, without even realizing it, these hidden seasons were making you stronger than you knew. Hidden places sharpen the soul. Hidden places purify intention. Hidden places develop endurance. Hidden places shape character. Chosen one. What you called loneliness was actually divine training. What you called silence was actually spiritual tuning. What you called delay was actually preparation. There is a strength inside you that didn't come from applause, it came from pain. It came from persistence. It came from showing up even when you felt empty. It came from trusting God with nothing but a whisper of hope left inside you. Heaven speaks clearly through the words, recorded in Romans chapter 5, verse 3. We glory in our sufferings because suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. These ancient words have followed your footsteps even when you weren't aware of them. They explain the mystery of your endurance. They explain why you didn't break. They explain why, even in seasons where everything felt heavy, your spirit found a way to rise again. Your suffering did not weaken you. It produced perseverance. Your perseverance did not exhaust you, it built character. Your character did not harden you, it formed hope. And that hope is your strength. You didn't grow in the spotlight, you grew in the silence. You didn't mature in comfort, you matured in adversity. You didn't discover your power when life was easy, you discovered it when life was breaking you open. These hidden places taught you how to navigate spiritual storms. They taught you how to remain standing when everything around you shakes. They taught you how to hear God when human voices fall away. They taught you how to trust when you couldn't trace the path ahead. Chosen one. You became someone who can survive where others collapse. Someone who can rise where others retreat. Someone who can discern what others overlook. Someone who can endure what others flee from. You learned how to carry peace in chaos. You learned how to carry clarity in confusion. You learned how to carry faith in emptiness. This strength doesn't announce itself loudly, but it reveals itself in your resilience, in your ability to love again after betrayal, in your willingness to try again after failure, in your courage to hope again after heartbreak. And though the world may never understand the depth of what shaped you, heaven does. You didn't become strong by accident. You became strong because God allowed you to pass through valleys that revealed your true capacity. He didn't hide you to punish you, He hid you to prepare you. Think of a seed buried in the ground. In darkness, it breaks open. In pressure, it transforms. In silence, it grows. And when it rises stronger than before. That was you. Buried, but not buried alive, buried like a seed. Hidden, but only so you could take root. Your hidden seasons were never wasted. They were necessary. If people had seen you too early, they would have misunderstood your potential. If certain relationships had stayed, they would have stunted your growth. If certain opportunities had come prematurely, they would have crushed you instead of elevating you. Heaven waited until your roots were strong enough for what was coming. Now, you carry a strength that does not tremble in storms because it was built in storms. You carry a resilience that does not crumble under pressure because it was forged under pressure. You carry a hope that does not die easily because it was birthed from seasons that tried to destroy you. Chosen one. The hidden places did not weaken you, they built the warrior rising inside you now. And as you step forward, remember this. You are strong not because you were never broken, but because breaking did not stop your becoming. You step into a moment that feels strangely familiar, yet heavier than the battles you faced before. It is the kind of pressure that makes your chest tighten, the kind of resistance that feels personal, the kind of spiritual tension that doesn't come from ordinary circumstances. Chosen one. This is the enemy's last strike, not because you are weak, but because you are winning. When darkness senses that its grip is slipping, it panics. When the enemy realizes he can no longer manipulate your mind, he strikes. When hell sees you rising into your identity, it trembles, because your awakening means its influence is breaking. This pressure you feel, this sudden heaviness, this wave of confusion that tried to hit you recently, None of it is random. This is the last surge of resistance before the breakthrough. The final attempt to make you turn around just before you cross the threshold you've been praying for. Chosen one, understand this. The enemy always fights loudest when heaven is about to move. You've gone through seasons where the attacks were subtle whispers, discouragement, fatigue, distraction. But this one feels different. This one feels like everything hit at once. This one feels like it came out of nowhere. This one feels like every weakness was suddenly exposed. But this isn't collapse. This isn't defeat. This isn't punishment. This is the enemy's last strike before losing access to you entirely. It was proclaimed long ago in the sacred text of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. These words stand like a shield around your spirit right now. They don't promise you that weapons won't form, they promise you that they won't succeed. And the reason they won't succeed is because you are stepping into your final stage of transformation. Chosen one. Think back over the last weeks or months. Why did everything intensify so quickly? Why did certain people shift suddenly? Why did doors close unexpectedly? Why did emotions swing from clarity to fog without warning? It's because your elevation exposes what cannot go with you. Your next level requires clarity, not chaos, strength, not fragility, discernment, not distraction. And so the final surge of darkness has risen not to overpower you, but to reveal what needs to be removed. The battles you're facing now are not random, they are tailored. Tailored to test your resolve, tailored to challenge your faith, tailored to expose the cracks you've ignored, tailored to sharpen the parts of you that still need strengthening. But they are also temporary. This pressure is not permanent. This heaviness is not your new normal. This attack is not your ending. It is the last resistance before the shift. The enemy is attacking because he cannot follow you into what's coming. He is striking because your purpose is activating. He is pushing because your spirit is breaking free from old patterns, old wounds, old attachments, and old identities that once gave him access to you. You are closing the final open doors. You are sealing the final cracks. You are stepping fully into the authority you didn't know you carried. And of course, darkness would strike now because it knows once you cross this line, there will be no return to the version of you it once controlled. This is why you've been tired, yet unable to quit, broken, yet still standing, confused, yet strangely hopeful, attacked, yet spiritually awake. Your soul knows the truth. This is the final battle before the breakthrough. Chosen one. Imagine a woman in labor. The moment just before birth is the most painful. The pressure intensifies. The contractions tighten. Everything inside her feels like it's tearing apart. Not because she is dying, but because something new is being born. That is the season you're in. The tension is not the end, it is the announcement. Your destiny is crowning. Your spirit is emerging. Your purpose is pushing through. And just like that mother, you cannot stop now. You cannot turn around. You cannot retreat, because the moment of greatest pressure is also the moment of greatest transformation. The enemy's last strike is a sign, a confirmation that he sees what you sometimes doubt. You are rising. And no matter how loud the attack, how heavy the pressure, or how fierce the resistance, it cannot stop what heaven has already begun in you. Chosen one, breathe. Steady yourself. This is the last strike, the final roar of a defeated enemy. And soon, very soon, you will step into the victory that has been waiting for you. You walk into a place where the ground beneath your feet feels unsteady, where everything around you seems to shake, not to destroy you. but to test what you are rooted in. Chosen one. There are seasons when God allows the shaking, not to weaken you, but to reveal what cannot be shaken within you. And this is one of those seasons. Nothing around you has felt stable lately. Plans shifted, people changed, opportunities slipped through your hands, emotions rose and fell like waves in a violent storm. But even as everything shook, something inside you refused to collapse. That quiet, unexplainable strength, that persistent whisper telling you to hold on, that fire that would not go out even when the wind roared against it. That was your spirit anchoring itself in truth. Chosen one, you are learning that stability does not come from external circumstances. It does not come from the approval of others, or the predictability of seasons, or the comfort of routine. Stability comes from your spirit being rooted in something greater than the world around you. The ancient words given in Psalm chapter 62, verse 6, "Truly he is my rock and my salvation, he is my fortress, I will not be shaken." These words are not distant poetry. They are your reality right now. When everything trembles, the rock beneath you does not. When people shift, the fortress around you remains unchanged. When your emotions rise like tides, the foundation within your spirit stays unmovable. But the shaking you feel now is different. It is not the kind that destroys, it is the kind that reveals. Pressure exposes foundation. Storms reveal roots. Shaking uncovers truth. And the truth is this: you are stronger than you thought. You are more grounded than you realized. Your spirit is anchored deeper than you knew. Even when confusion clouded your mind, a quiet certainty remained. Even when exhaustion pulled at your soul, something held you upright. Even when fear tried to whisper defeat, faith pushed back. Chosen one. This is the test of your becoming. In this chapter of your journey, it is not the external battles that define you, it is your posture, how you stand, how you breathe, how you hold your ground even when the earth trembles. This is where the warrior within you wakes up fully. You see, the shaking didn't come to destroy you, it came to remove what was never meant to stay. Shaky relationships, shaky beliefs, shaky habits, shaky thoughts, shaky identities you outgrew. They fall away in the tremor because they cannot support where you are going. There are people you lost not because you weren't valuable, but because they could not stand where you are standing now. There are opportunities that fell through not because you were unworthy, but because they weren't aligned with your purpose. There are doors that closed not because you did something wrong, but because they were holding you back from what was better. The shaking was not a warning, it was a cleansing. The shaking was not a curse, it was a repositioning. The shaking was not the enemy winning, it was God preparing. And now that the dust is settling, what remains is what is real: your faith, your identity, your calling, your inner strength. Chosen one. Do you feel it underneath the chaos, underneath the noise, underneath the trembling? There is a stillness growing inside you, a clarity forming, a determination rising, a quiet, steady voice whispering, "Stand, just stand." Because sometimes standing is the victory. Sometimes standing is the warfare. Sometimes standing is the announcement to darkness that you will not move, you will not break, and you will not bow. You have been tempted to run, tempted to collapse, tempted to isolate, tempted to go back to familiar places that no longer fit you. But you didn't. You stayed. You held. You endured. And that endurance is proof of who you are becoming. The enemy tries to shake you so you'll surrender. But God allows the shaking so you'll remember your strength. And now, chosen one, it is time to declare that strength out loud. Not for others to hear, not to impress anyone, but to seal this truth in your spirit. Comment, "I stand firm." 3 simple words, but they hold the power of resistance, identity, and revelation. When you write them, you are saying, "I am not moved by fear. I am not broken by storms. I am not abandoning my purpose. I anchor myself in the one who holds me." This is not just a comment, it is a declaration to the spiritual realm that the shaking has not defeated you. It has revealed you. You walk into the moment before dawn, the most delicate, mysterious hour of your entire journey. Chosen one. This is the part of the night when everything feels still, almost unnaturally quiet. It's the hour when the darkness looks solid, as if it has settled permanently. Yet in the unseen realm, light is already forming beyond the horizon. You can't see it with your eyes yet, but your spirit feels it. Something inside you knows morning is near. This is why you felt that strange mixture of exhaustion and anticipation. Why your heart feels tired yet hopeful. Why your soul feels stretched yet strangely steady. Because you are standing in that fragile space between what was and what will be. Beloved chosen one. The darkest part of the night is always the moment before dawn, not because darkness grows stronger, but because your eyes have grown weary, not because light is absent, but because the transition is subtle, not because hope is gone, but because heaven is preparing something that requires silence. This is the moment when God works in whispers. This is the moment when angels move quietly, arranging the final pieces. This is the moment when your spirit senses change even if your mind cannot explain it. As was spoken long ago in Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22, "His mercies are new every morning, great is his faithfulness." These ancient words breathe life into your weary soul. They remind you that every dawn carries mercy, renewal, and fresh strength. They remind you that morning is not just a time of day, it is a spiritual shift. It is the announcement that what tried to destroy you in the night did not succeed. Chosen one, imagine yourself as a traveler crossing a desert. The nights are cold, the days are harsh, and the journey feels endless. But every time the sun rises, it whispers, "You made it through one more night. You are farther than you were yesterday. You are closer to the promised land than you realize." That is where you are right now, closer than you think. And though you feel tired, you feel something else too, a quiet strength rising, a flame starting to glow inside your chest, a certainty that refuses to die. Your spirit is sensing dawn, but here is the mystery before light breaks through. God often asks you to take one more step of trust, not because he needs your strength, but because he is preparing your heart to receive what you asked for. You are like a seed buried in the soil. You have felt pressure. You have felt darkness. You have felt isolation. But beneath the surface, you've been growing, expanding, strengthening, and now the soil above you is beginning to crack. The moment of breakthrough is near. And as you stand in this moment before dawn, I want to speak to your heart gently, sincerely, from a place of deep respect for your journey. If these messages have been light on your path, if they have held you in nights when you felt alone, if they have brought strength to your spirit when your body felt tired, then I invite you to help this light reach others who are still walking through their night, not out of pressure, never out of guilt, but as an act of alignment with the light you carry. Through your light, you help widen the circle of those who need encouragement. Through your share, you become a lantern to someone wandering in darkness. Through your subscribe, you stay connected to messages meant to guide you through each stage of your calling. And if your heart feels moved, through your donation, You help sustain and expand this mission so more souls can be lifted, healed, and awakened. Think of it as tending a lighthouse. One drop of oil keeps the flame burning. One spark keeps ships from crashing against unseen rocks. One act of generosity helps guide someone safely to shore. Your support becomes part of that flame. Every action you take becomes a ripple that reaches someone else's night. Every gesture becomes a beam of light cutting through someone else's storm. Every offering becomes a seed that grows into hope for someone who has none. Chosen one. You are not just receiving light. You are helping carry it into the world. And now, as you stand in this sacred moment before dawn, let this truth settle deep into your spirit. You are not waiting alone. You are not rising alone. You are not stepping into morning alone. Heaven is with you. Light is near you. Mercy is coming for you. And dawn, your dawn is already beginning to break. You step into a new clarity, a rising awareness that begins not with loud revelation, but with a quiet unfolding inside your spirit. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every journey when the fog begins to lift, when the pieces that once felt scattered start falling into alignment, when the detours that frustrated you suddenly make sense. This is that moment for you, the awakening within. For so long, you walked through seasons that felt confusing. Doors opened and then closed. People entered and then disappeared. Opportunities came and then dissolved. You prayed for direction, yet sometimes the path ahead only grew murkier. But now, something inside you is shifting. Not by force, not by pressure, but by revelation. Your spirit is waking up to the truth behind every step you've taken, even the ones that felt like mistakes. Because nothing in your journey has been wasted, not one tear, not one setback, not one heartbreak, not one delay. Everything that felt random is beginning to align with purpose. You start realizing why certain relationships ended, why certain doors shut before you could walk through them, why certain opportunities didn't last, why God was silent in moments you desperately wanted answers. He wasn't ignoring you. He was positioning you. We find wisdom in the sacred writings of Proverbs chapter 20, verse 24. A person's steps are directed by the Lord. How then can anyone understand their own way? These ancient words land softly on your spirit, yet with the weight of truth. They remind you that the path you walk is not one you are meant to fully understand in the moment. Sometimes clarity comes only when you look back and see how every twist carried you closer to who you were meant to become. Chosen one. What felt like confusion was protection. What felt like delay was preparation. What felt like loss was realignment. What felt like silence was God teaching you how to hear Him in deeper ways. Your awakening isn't dramatic, it is gradual. It's the subtle feeling that your spirit is breathing again. It's the quiet realization that you're stronger than you used to be. It's the awareness that your thoughts feel clearer, your heart feels lighter, your purpose feels closer. You are beginning to understand yourself, your patterns, your triggers, your gifts, your calling, your boundaries. You notice how your energy shifts around certain people. You notice how your spirit reacts to certain environments. You notice how your intuition sharpens when something is not aligned. This is not coincidence, this is awakening. The old version of you reacted. The new version of you discerns. The old version of you tolerated imbalance. The new version of you protects your peace. The old version of you questioned your worth. The new version of you walks differently because you know you are chosen. Chosen one. Awakening is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before life tried to dim your light. It is remembering your strength after seasons of feeling weak. It is remembering your value after years of being overlooked. It is remembering your purpose after long stretches of wandering. It is remembering your spirit after moments when you felt disconnected from yourself. And now that your eyes are opening, everything looks different. You begin to see the hidden blessings you once overlooked. You begin to see the red flags you once ignored. You begin to see the spiritual truths behind emotional storms. You begin to see the patterns in your life with new understanding. You no longer blame yourself for what was never yours to hold. You no longer chase things that drain you. You no longer shrink yourself to fit places that dishonor your soul. You no longer run from your calling. Instead, you rise into it, you embrace it, you honor it. Chosen one, you are awakening to the reality that you are not defined by your past, your pain, or your failures. You are defined by your purpose, by the divine assignment that has been woven into your spirit long before you ever saw it. And this awakening is not a fleeting moment. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one where you walk with awareness, discernment, and unshakable clarity. You are seeing yourself clearly. You are seeing God's hand clearly. You are seeing your path clearly. And once a chosen one awakens, but they never return to who they used to be, you step into the space where the weight of your destiny becomes unmistakable. Chosen one, everything you have survived, everything you have endured, everything you have learned, it all leads here. This is the moment where you are asked to choose the crown that has always been yours but required growth, wisdom, and courage to carry. For so long, you walked through life feeling unprepared, unworthy, or uncertain. You questioned your calling. You doubted your strength. You wondered if you had misunderstood the signs. But now, the truth rises inside you with a force you cannot deny. You were created for more than survival. You were created for sovereignty. This crown has been waiting not on your perfection, but on your awakening. And now, that awakening is complete enough for heaven to place a decision before you. Not a forced decision, not a pressured decision, but a sacred one. Will you step fully into who you were designed to be? As Jesus himself declared in Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." These words pierce through every insecurity that ever spoke against you. They remind you that you were never meant to be invisible, overlooked, or suppressed. You were meant to shine boldly, fearlessly, undeniably, not for ego, but for purpose, not for applause, but for impact, not for visibility, but for destiny. Chosen one, this crown is not made of gold or jewels. It is made of identity. It is made of resilience. It is made of obedience. It is made of everything you fought through to reach this moment. It is shaped from nights you cried but kept going. It is forged from seasons where you stood alone yet did not fold. It is polished by storms that should have destroyed you but instead transformed you. And now, heaven holds it out to you not as a symbol of arrival, but as a symbol of readiness. Because stepping into your crown does not mean you have everything figured out. It means you are willing to grow into the version of yourself that God always saw. This is why the battle intensified as you approached this moment. This is why old wounds resurfaced. This is why doubts tried to creep into your mind. This is why fear whispered loudly in moments of silence. The enemy knows that once you accept your crown, once you step into your true identity, once you claim your authority, he loses access to places he once used against you. Your crown comes with clarity. Your crown comes with discernment. Your crown comes with spiritual strength that cannot be manipulated. Your crown comes with divine protection. But the most powerful thing your crown brings is this: a refusal to return to who you used to be. This is the moment where you stop shrinking. This is the moment where you stop apologizing for your calling. This is the moment where you stop questioning the fire inside you. This is the moment where you stop betraying yourself just to make others comfortable. You have walked through too much darkness to dim your light again. You have carried too much pain to kneel before fear again. You have survived too much warfare to surrender your authority again. Chosen one. The crown before you is not an ornament, it is a responsibility. It means you lead differently. You love differently. You speak differently. You move differently. You pray differently. You handle your own spirit differently. It means you rise even when your legs tremble. You stand even when storms rage. You choose obedience even when doubt whispers. You walk in purpose even when the path is unclear. This is the crown of identity, the crown of awakening, the crown of divine calling. But here's the truth. Heaven needs you to hear no one can place this crown on your head except you. Not God, He already chose you. Not angels, they already guard you. Not people, they cannot see your full destiny. Only you can choose to step into it. Your crown requires your yes, not a loud yes, not a perfect yes, just a willing one. And when you say yes, the shift that follows will be undeniable. Your energy will change. Your perspective will change. Your relationships will change. Your opportunities will change. Your entire atmosphere will shift. Because when a chosen one accepts their crown, the spiritual realm responds. So now, as a seal of alignment with your identity, as a declaration of readiness, as a spiritual nod to heaven that you choose to rise. Comment 222. Not because the number is magical, but because this declaration is meaningful. 222 represents divine alignment, spiritual agreement, and the moment when heaven and your spirit say yes together. When you type it, you are not just commenting, you are stepping into your crown. You cross into a realm that feels strangely familiar yet entirely new, the invisible line that has hovered before you for years. Chosen one. This line is not drawn on the ground, nor marked by signs, nor indicated by anything your physical eyes can see. It is spiritual. It is internal. It is the border between who you were and who you are becoming. For most of your life, you have walked close to this line. You've sensed it in moments of clarity. You've touched it in moments of courage. You've approached it in moments of spiritual awakening. But something always pulled you back. Fear whispered. Doubt echoed. Old wounds resurfaced. Familiar patterns tried to reclaim you. Voices from your past tried to define your future. And so you paced and hesitated and circled the same spiritual territory over and over again. But now, the line is before you once more, and this time, something within you has shifted. You are not the same soul who stood here years ago. You are wiser now, stronger now, clearer now. Your spirit has matured. Your discernment has sharpened. Your heart has healed in places you didn't think could mend. And because of that, the invisible line no longer intimidates you, it invites you. You feel that invitation deep in your chest. It's the rising warmth, the quiet confidence, the sense that something is calling your name from the other side. You don't hear it audibly, but you feel it unmistakably. A gentle pull, a soft gravity, a whisper that says, "Come forward." The next version of you is waiting, as the prophet Moses recorded in Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 6. You have stayed at this mountain long enough. It is time to break camp and move on. These ancient words resonate through your spirit like thunder wrapped in tenderness. They are not a rebuke, they are a release. They tell you that you have lingered long enough in places that no longer nourish you. They tell you the season of circling the same ground is over. They tell you that your journey must continue. And chosen one, it will. Because now you finally understand the truth. The line is not your barrier, it is your doorway. For years, you thought something external was holding you back. Your past, your mistakes, your circumstances, your fears, your environment, the opinions of others. But now you see clearly the barrier was internal. A belief that you were not enough, a belief that you were unworthy, a belief that your future would resemble your past, a belief that stepping forward meant stepping alone. But you are not alone. Not now. Not ever. Heaven has been walking with you every step. Angels have been guarding you in moments you didn't know danger was near. The Spirit has been whispering direction even when your heart felt lost. And now that you see this truth, now that your spirit recognizes the guidance that was always there, you understand that crossing the invisible line is not a leap of uncertainty. It is a step into alignment. You are stepping into a realm where your spiritual authority becomes active, where your prayers shift from hopeful to powerful, where your identity is not questioned but embodied, where your light is not hidden but unleashed. This invisible line marks the end of survival and the beginning of purpose. Crossing it does not mean life becomes easy. It means your spirit becomes stronger than your circumstances. It means fear loses its grip. It means doubt loses its volume. It means trauma loses its influence. It means you stop negotiating with the old version of yourself, because the old version of you cannot follow where you are going. You must leave behind the mindset that minimized your worth. Leave behind habits that drained your spirit. Leave behind people who never saw your value. Leave behind cycles that kept you spiritually stagnant. Leave behind the emotional weights that made you shrink yourself. Every time you step forward, you feel something shedding. A layer of fear, a layer of insecurity, a layer of self-doubt, a layer of identity that didn't belong to you. The invisible line is the threshold of transformation. On one side, you carry wounds, fears, and familiar comforts. On the other side, you carry purpose, authority, and divine clarity. On one side, you move in circles. On the other side, you move in destiny. On one side, you survive. On the other side, you ascend. Chosen one. So many people spend their entire lives standing at this very line, looking at it, sensing it, dreaming of crossing it, but never stepping through. Not because they lack calling, but because they lack courage. Not because they are unworthy, but because they are unaware of who walks beside them. You are different. You have been prepared for this moment. You have been tested, refined, and awakened. You have been stripped of illusions and strengthened by truth. And now, you feel the pull from heaven. It is time. Time to stop circling. Time to stop hesitating. Time to stop shrinking. Time to stop delaying. Time to stop doubting your calling. Time to step forward. When you cross this invisible line, a shift will follow in your mind, in your relationships, in your decisions, in your atmosphere, in your spiritual sensitivity, in your destiny. This line is not here to be feared. It is here to be crossed. Chosen one, lift your foot, breathe, and step. And you step forward. And as you cross into this new spiritual territory, something begins to change within you. Something deep, ancient, sacred, chosen one. This is the moment when the fire of transformation touches your soul in ways you cannot ignore. You are being marked by fire, not the destructive fire that consumes, but the holy fire that purifies, strengthens, and prepares. For so long, you wondered why life pushed you into intense seasons that felt too heavy, too hot, too overwhelming. It felt like everything around you was burning plans, relationships, comfort zones, old versions of yourself. You feared the fire. You questioned it. You didn't understand why God allowed you to walk through such heat. But now, with new clarity, you begin to understand the fire did not come to destroy you. The fire came to refine you. There are parts of you that could only be shaped in fire. There is strength you could only discover in pressure. There is wisdom you could only gain through discomfort. There is purity you could only reach by releasing what could not survive the flames. Chosen one, every furnace you entered, every trial that scorched you, every hardship that felt unbearable, none of it was wasted. In the heat of those moments, something inside you was being forged, as the prophet wrote in Malachi, chapter 3, verse 3. He shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. These words soften your heart and steady your breath. They remind you that the fire wasn't uncontrolled, it was intentional. A refiner does not abandon the silver in the flames. He watches it closely, turning it, shaping it, protecting it from destruction while allowing the impurities to rise and burn away. You were not alone in the fire. You were being watched, guarded, and shaped. You see, the fire reveals what is real. It exposes what is weak. It removes what is toxic. It strengthens what must remain. The fire taught you courage. The fire taught you surrender. The fire taught you resilience. The fire taught you trust. And now, as you stand on the other side, you feel different, not just stronger, but clearer. The illusions that once clouded your vision have burned away. The fears that once controlled you have lost their power. The attachments that once drained your spirit have dissolved. You are lighter, you are sharper, you are truer. You are purified. Chosen one. The fire revealed your real identity. You learned who you are when everything comfortable was stripped away. You learned who you are when you had nothing but faith left. You learned who you are when God allowed the heat to rise, not to punish you, but to prove you. And what emerged from the flames is not a fragile soul, but a warrior, a leader, a carrier of light, a vessel of divine purpose. There is boldness in your spirit now that you did not have before. There is clarity in your eyes that intimidates darkness. There is authority in your voice that you never realized you carried. Because fire does not only refine, it marks. It leaves a spiritual imprint, a heavenly signature, a divine recognition. Hell sees it, heaven sees it, your future sees it. This mark tells the spiritual realm you cannot break what has been forged in fire. You cannot intimidate what has survived the furnace. You cannot destroy what has been purified by divine flames. Chosen one. The fire also awakened your discernment. You sense danger before it reaches you. You recognize deception before it unfolds. You feel the shift of atmospheres before others notice. Your spiritual instincts have become sharp as a blade, because fire produces vision, true vision. Not the kind shaped by emotion, fear, or insecurity, but the kind shaped by truth, refinement, and divine alignment. It also awakened your compassion. Not soft compassion that enables weakness, but fierce compassion that loves deeply, protects wisely, and discerns accurately. You understand pain because you have lived through it. You understand struggle because you have faced it. You understand healing because you earned it. This compassion is part of your calling, part of your mark, part of your fire. But perhaps the most powerful thing the fire did was remove the version of you that you were never meant to be. The fearful you, the doubting you, the apologetic you, the dimmed you, the silent you. All of it burned away. What remains is your true self, the self God designed, the self destiny requires, the self the world needs, the self the enemy fears. Chosen one, you are marked by fire now. You carry the evidence of transformation in your spirit, and because of that, You are unshakable in a way you never were before. This fire was your making. This fire was your graduation. This fire was your purification. And now, as you step forward, you no longer walk as someone who merely survived the flames. You walk as someone who has been forged by them. You step forward into the part of the journey where everything inside you begins to gather your strength, your lessons, your faith, your memories, your scars, your wisdom. Chosen one. This is the final push forward, the place where destiny feels close enough to touch, yet the path feels heavier than ever. It is the moment where you must lean into everything you've become, everything you've learned, everything heaven has planted in you. This final push is never gentle. It never feels convenient. It never arrives when you feel fully ready. It comes when your legs tremble, when your breath is uneven, when your spirit is stretched thin. It comes at the end of long seasons of endurance. It comes after you've already survived battles you didn't think you'd make it through. But the final push is not a sign of weakness. It is proof that victory is near. You are like a climber approaching the final stretch of a mountain. The terrain becomes steeper. The wind becomes stronger. The air becomes thin. Every muscle burns. Every step demands effort. But the view at the top, the breakthrough that waits beyond the last ridge, the perspective that comes after the final ascent, is worth every ounce of strength left in you. Chosen one. This is your mountain ridge moment. Your spirit feels the strain because your destiny is pulling you upward. Your heart feels the pressure because your purpose is expanding. Your mind feels stretched because heaven is preparing you for a life higher than anything you've lived before. The ancient words written in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap." These words echo through your spirit like a gentle yet powerful reminder. Do not quit. Do not collapse. Do not surrender to exhaustion. Because the proper time, the appointed time, not a random moment, but the ordained moment, is drawing close. And that is why the final stretch feels the hardest. Not because you are failing, but because you are finally breaking through spiritual ceilings that once held you. Chosen one. Imagine a seed pushing through soil. Before it breaks the surface, the pressure is the greatest. The soil feels heavy. The darkness feels endless. The effort feels impossible. But once it breaks through, light floods in, growth accelerates, life expands. That is you. You are seconds from the surface, moments from the light, breaths from the breakthrough. But this moment right here is when the enemy pushes hardest. Not because he is strong, but because he is threatened. Not because he sees victory, but because he sees defeat. He tries to distract you. He tries to drain your energy. He tries to confuse your mind. He tries to whisper discouragement. Why? Because he knows that the chosen ones who push through the final stretch become unstoppable. And you, yes, you are at that exact point. Your spirit is stretching, that your calling is activating, that your power is rising, that your identity is solidifying, that your atmosphere is shifting. But this final push is not meant to be done alone. And this is where I want to speak to you gently, sincerely, from a place of deep respect for your journey. If these messages have carried you through dark seasons, if they have reminded you of your purpose, if they have strengthened you on days when you felt like giving up, if they have poured into your spirit when everything else felt empty, then I invite you, from the heart, to help this mission continue, so more souls can find strength in their own final push, not out of pressure, not out of obligation, but out of alignment and shared purpose. When you like, you help this message reach someone who is seconds from quitting. When you share, you become the bridge heaven uses to lift another soul. When you subscribe, you stay connected to the guidance meant to carry you into your destiny. And when you give a donation, if you feel truly led, you become part of the fuel that keeps this light burning in a world full of shadows. Think of it like a lantern glowing on a mountainside. Every act of support adds oil to the flame, and that flame helps someone else find their way up the mountain you've just climbed. You have been pushed, stretched, challenged, refined, but you are still here, still rising, still fighting, still chosen. This final push is not your breaking point, it is your breakthrough point. And before this section closes, take a moment and let your heart respond, not with pressure, not with obligation, but with truth. Leave a comment below. Share what part of this message struck you, awakened you, or spoke directly to your spirit. Your words may become the strength someone else needs for their final push. Chosen one, lift your head, steady your breath, and push. The summit is closer than you think. You step into a moment that feels unreal, as if time has slowed, as if heaven is giving you a chance to witness your own transformation in motion. Chosen one. This is the season where victory unfolds not in one dramatic explosion of breakthrough, but in slow motion. It comes softly, steadily, almost silently, yet undeniably. It is the kind of victory that reveals itself piece by piece, day by day, like watching the sun rise in the distance before its light touches your skin. For so long, you imagined breakthrough as something sudden, a miracle that appears instantly, a door that swings open without warning, a blessing that drops into your hands overnight. But the truth is, some of the most powerful victories unfold gradually, allowing your spirit to adjust, your mind to expand, and your heart to grow strong enough to carry what is coming. This is where you are now. You are watching your breakthrough form, one shift at a time, in the way your thoughts are clearer, in the way your emotions are steadier, in the way your boundaries are healthier, in the way your discernment is sharper, in the way your heart feels lighter, in the way your spirit feels grounded. Victory doesn't always begin with a trumpet. Sometimes it begins with a whisper. Sometimes it begins with a small opening. Sometimes it begins with a quiet realization that you are not who you used to be, and that realization is powerful. Chosen one. Look carefully at your life right now. Look at the situations that once broke you but no longer move you. Look at the wounds that once felt unbearable but no longer define you. Look at the people who once controlled your emotions but no longer hold authority over your heart. Look at the disappointments that once felt permanent but now feel necessary. These are not coincidences. These are signs of victory unfolding in slow motion. Victory often reveals itself first inside you before it reveals itself outside you. It begins with the death of old fears, the release of old patterns, the healing of old wounds, the dissolving of old illusion. It begins when you stop arguing with your calling. It begins when you stop apologizing for your growth. It begins when you stop dimming your light to fit into small places. It begins when you stop betraying your spirit for temporary comfort. This internal victory is the foundation for everything that is coming next. The sacred words in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. Thanks be to God who always causes us to triumph in Christ. These words settle into your heart with a gentle strength. They remind you that triumph is not an occasional possibility. It is your spiritual trajectory. Even when the battle looked uneven, even when the storm felt endless, even when the breakthrough seemed distant, triumph was still being shaped beneath the surface. This slow-motion victory is intentional. It is designed to anchor you, to prepare you, to mature you, to align you, to elevate you. You see the changes happening around you. But even more importantly, you feel the changes happening within you. You no longer respond with panic. You no longer collapse under pressure. You no longer chase validation. You no longer settle for versions of yourself that dishonor your identity. This is victory. Real victory. Lasting victory. This is the victory that cannot be stolen because it is not built on external circumstances. It is built on the transformation of your spirit. Chosen one, do you feel it? The way clarity flows where confusion once clouded you. The way hope rises where despair once lived. The way peace anchors you where chaos once dominated. The way purpose guides you where emptiness once lingered. Even the challenges you face now feel different. They no longer crush you, they challenge you to grow. They no longer terrify you, they teach you wisdom. They no longer overwhelm you. They reveal your strength. This is the blessing of a slow-motion victory. It gives you time to become the person who can sustain the blessing you prayed for. You are not rushing anymore. You are not grasping anymore. You are not begging God to prove Himself. You are watching Him reveal Himself gently, consistently, faithfully. And because this victory is unfolding gradually, it is rooting itself deeply. This is not a temporary breakthrough. This is not an emotional high. This is not a fragile blessing. This is transformation woven into the fabric of who you are. You are rising not suddenly but steadily. You are healing not instantly but thoroughly. You are expanding not chaotically but intentionally. You are elevating not erratically but divinely. And soon, you will look back and realize that the very things you thought were delays were actually the foundation stones of this victory. Chosen one, breathe into this moment. Let the slow miracle complete its work. Recognize the victory that is already unfolding. You do not have to force what God is already forming. You do not have to chase what is already on its way. You do not have to fear what you are already prepared to carry. Your victory has begun and nothing can stop what heaven has started. You step into the realm that has been calling your name from the moment you took your first breath, the new realm. The one that felt distant for years. The one you thought you might never reach. Chosen one. This is the moment where everything within you and everything around you aligns. You are not entering this place as the wounded version of yourself, nor the searching version, nor the hesitant version. You enter as someone transformed, someone strengthened, awakened, refined, and crowned. This new realm does not feel like the old one. The atmosphere is different. The weight on your shoulders feels lighter. The clarity in your spirit feels sharper. The ground beneath you feels steady. The future before you feels open wide, expansive, filled with possibility. For the first time, you sense that you are not stepping into a season, you are stepping into a destiny. Everything behind you begins to make sense in a way it never has before. The delays, the detours, the heartbreaks, the closed doors, the spiritual warfare, the nights of confusion, the waves of pressure, they were not signs of abandonment. They were the preparation required to walk into this new realm with your spirit fortified and your identity established. The ancient words recorded in Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9. Be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. These words do not arrive as advice, they arrive as confirmation. They tell you that stepping into this new realm does not require fearlessness, it requires courage. Fearlessness is the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward even when fear whispers. And chosen one, you have already proven that you possess courage, because courage is what carried you through the seasons where you had no map. Courage is what kept you standing when storms tried to drown you. Courage is what pushed you to heal when bitterness called your name. Courage is what taught you to trust again after betrayal. Courage is what made you rise after every fall. Now, that same courage ushers you forward into the realm where your purpose comes alive. You begin to notice how different everything looks from this side. You no longer feel the need to beg for clarity, you carry clarity. You no longer cling to people who do not value your spirit, you cherish your peace instead. You no longer accept opportunities that drain you, you wait for the ones aligned with your calling. You no longer fear silence, you hear God in it. You no longer shrink when darkness approaches you. Illuminate it. This new realm comes with responsibility, yes, but it also comes with authority. Not authority built on pride or force or position, but authority built on survival, refinement, and divine appointment. You have been entrusted with wisdom others have not walked through. You have been entrusted with strength forged in private battles. You have been entrusted with discernment sharpened by seasons of spiritual tension. Your steps carry weight now, not because you are superior, but because you are aligned. This realm feels like breathing for the first time after being underwater for too long. You inhale, and your lungs open wider. You exhale, and the last remnants of old fears leave your body. You walk, and the ground feels like it welcomes each step. You look forward, and for once the future does not intimidate you, it excites you. But perhaps the most powerful shift is this. You finally trust yourself. Not the old self shaped by fear. Not the wounded self shaped by trauma. Not the hesitant self shaped by doubt. But the true self, the chosen self, the aligned self. You trust your intuition because you recognize it as spiritual guidance. You trust your discernment because it was forged in truth. You trust your voice because it carries divine weight. You trust your decisions because they rise from clarity, not confusion. You trust that you belong here. Chosen one. You are not an outsider in this new realm. You are not a visitor. You are not temporarily passing through. You were always meant to arrive here to step into a reality shaped by purpose, to walk in alignment with heaven's design for your life, to carry the light that generations before you could not hold. This realm is not a reward, it is an inheritance. You did not stumble into it. You grew into it. You fought into it. You healed into it. You prayed into it. And now, heaven entrusts you with more, not because you earned it, but because you are ready for it. In this new realm, you will speak differently. You will move differently. You will choose differently. You will love differently. You will see yourself differently. You will understand fully what you once felt only faintly. You are chosen not for comfort, but for purpose. Not for applause, but for impact. Not for ease, but for transformation. And as you take your first steps into this realm, your spirit whispers something you once feared to believe. I was made for this. Because you were. Because you are. Because you always have been. This is your new realm, and you walk into it not as who you were, but as who you were always destined to become. Chosen one. Take a breath. You've walked through every layer of this journey with courage, honesty, and an open spirit. You've risen through fire, pushed through heaviness, crossed invisible thresholds, and stepped boldly into the realm meant for you. And now, as this message comes to a close, something inside you feels different, lighter, clearer, stronger. That is not an accident. That is alignment. You didn't just listen. You awakened. You didn't just read, you transformed. Though you didn't just endure, you arrived in the courts. And now, as you stand in this new identity, I want to speak to you sincerely, gently, stand with deep respect for your journey. If this message lifted you, if it spoke to your soul, If it reminded you of who you are and who you're becoming, then let your voice echo back. Like this message so it can reach another soul who is quietly breaking. Share it to someone who needs strength for their next step. Comment below, share what touched you, what awakened you, what shifted inside you. Your words may be the confirmation someone else is praying for. And subscribe, so you remain connected to the guidance meant to carry you forward. Chosen one. This is not the end. This is the beginning of everything.